I believe that modern construction can be easy, simple, interesting, and inexpensive. You just need to step a little outside the usual boundaries and realize that small buildings don't necessarily have to be so permanent and as a result very heavy. This is clearly demonstrated by my project House for $1,000 and many other structures I've built using innovative ultra-simple technology. These technologies are easy for anyone to master, even those with no construction experience. I believe it's time to tell how it all began and how I came to all of this. Songs by Yasha Kosyak. Let's review construction solutions step by step for accessibility. Hello everyone. Strangely enough, my journey into ultra cheap construction technologies began with this small motorboat. It looked pretty funny. The low sides almost scooped up water, but as soon as it got on plane, it turned into a real fast motorboat. The 10 horsepower engine made the mini boat very speedy. I glued the hull of this boat together from regular white foam. After shaping it with a knife and sandpaper, I covered both sides with fiberglass soaked in epoxy resin. After hardening, the hull became very strong and rigid while still remaining lightweight. In sunlight, it's nearly translucent. The boat was carried on a car roof. The sandwich composite effect of strength of materials was at work. However, this stuck in my memory very well. That's why years later, I realized that the future of ultra cheap construction lies in composite materials. It looks funny because it was an experiment. Then I set my sights on a boat already of normal size. A model or dummy of the hull was made from regular drywall and construction putty. With the help of the dummy, a fiberglass mold of the hull was made, and from the mold, the fiberglass hull itself was created. Here it is, right in the hull. A model or dummy of the boat's interior was made from white foam, plaster, and putty. In these shots, it's the model. On top, these are pieces of fiberglass mat. I cut them, fitted them, and numbered them so I wouldn't get confused, while continuing to produce the mold for the boat's interior. The fact that I was able to use regular inexpensive construction materials for the mock-up saved a lot of money. During these stages, my friend, an expert in apartment renovation was very helpful. The mold that was made, along with the foam dummy, was removed from the bottom. A fiberglass interior was made from the interior mold and placed into the fiberglass bottom. The boat hull is ready, and it's of industrial quality, all done in garage conditions. With the help of fiberglass molds, such fiberglass hulls could even be made in just one day. Of course, if you get the hang of working with fiberglass and get a couple of people to help. Gel coat allowed for an immediate decorative and protective hull finish, similar to a spray booth paint job. There was a time in my life when I got really passionate about boat building. All of this happened almost 15 years ago. My friend only had low-powered motors, so we tested it with them quickly. The hull consisted of an outer and an inner part joined together, so it turned out to be very strong. I also planned to fill the inner space with special foam, and that would make the boat super strong. You could install a 150 horsepower engine, but for this size and weight, 30-40 horsepower is optimal. The small furniture business I was running back then was barely surviving, and there was no extra money left. To move forward in the boat business, I needed to sell at least a couple of these boats. Such a boat can't be very cheap since the materials for fiberglass are far from inexpensive and the work is not easy. It turned out that in our area, nobody wanted these boats even for free. Average Belarusians prefer inflatable polyvinyl chloride boats with low-powered engines, while the wealthy prefer imported boats. About 5 years passed. Sometimes we would wash our boat like this with my younger son Herman, then imagine ourselves racing across the waves. My conclusions for future ultra-cheap construction: expensive technology will not become widespread, and complicated technology will not become widespread either. If you're short on money, avoid serious projects. The mold and first boat nearly filled the whole shed. The years I lived seemed of little use. To somehow increase the usefulness of my work, 10 years ago I started filming videos and posting them on the internet. New friends appeared, and from time to time, I felt the urge to continue the boat project. Against the current. Thanks to Valentin and his boat motor, we were able to run more thorough tests. The boat performed impressively. If there had been funding, I would have definitely done a lot more in the boat field. The next conclusion was that intuitively, I seem able to make strong things. The project, aside from the conclusions, didn't lead to anything, but it did toughen me up in the struggle. To be continued. I also realized that having your own motorboat allows you to get new experiences from visiting new places. Maybe it wasn't all for nothing. With viewer support, I began raising money for my own powerful boat motor. By that time, I had to close the furniture business. I was getting by with odd jobs, thinking about trying my hand at construction. Good builders, guys, they're not poor. When I first saw a barrel sauna, I was struck by how unusual it was. And most importantly, it's a structure you can build on your own property and deliver to the customer ready-made. Exactly like with our sofas, or as a ready-made kit that can be assembled very quickly at the customer's place. Neither bad weather nor the remote location of the installation site should be a problem, since you don't need to go there every day and build. You only need to deliver it once. It's all advantages. I quickly studied global experience in the barrel sauna industry and started making a prototype to test the demand. In a regular 3x6 garage, I only got pleasure from the work. I focused on quality. At first, I sorted the lumber so that the boards would look as high quality as possible, both inside and outside. I carefully sanded all the parts before assembly and coated them with several layers of high quality sealant. To be continued. Since all this happened 10 years ago, at that time, barrel saunas were completely unusual structures in our area. At the time I built my first sauna, I had never seen one in real life before. They are made from 40 mm thick beams with a moon-shaped groove. A very important element of a barrel sauna is a good sauna stove, which should have excess power, since the rather thin wooden walls, of course, cannot provide high thermal efficiency. At the same time, the barrel sauna is able to meet the needs of the vast majority of sauna enthusiasts. The originality of the shape adds new impressions, and the low cost of the design makes it much more affordable compared to permanent saunas. Thanks to its relative lightness, the barrel sauna can even be made mobile. And this is really something else. All this information I got from the internet gave me high hopes for the success of the project, so I worked on it with great enthusiasm. The long-awaited moment of assembly has arrived. At that time, I was so short on extra money that I even had to try my hand at stove making. Why not? Both saunas and their stoves are essential for future growth and production. That's what I thought when I decided to weld my first stove from used metal profiles. The fact that I used metal profiles for the construction gave the stove a number of positive qualities, such as very high heat output and excellent structural strength. And I also got a good chance to practice my newly acquired welding skills. This stove used minimal purchased metal. We tested and fired up the stove. It's awesome and definitely worth painting. The sauna is ready. I posted an ad for sale online. Good online promotion requires good money, which I still don't have. So there was some interest, but the ads quickly lost relevance, and then winter came. From the same used profile, I made something like skis for the sauna. I called them Terminator sleds. You can attach the drawbar either from the entrance side or from the opposite side. This was the simplest way to give the barrel sauna at least some mobility. The main idea was to move the advertising object closer to the busy road, thereby significantly increasing its visibility. Unfortunately, the winter was nearly snowless. I also reinforced the profile skis with wooden beams. Everything looked a bit post-apocalyptic. I liked that style too. It's a good option for people in northern areas to consider. Attach it to a snowmobile and head into the taiga or tundra. It serves as both a winter cabin and sauna. The sauna looked even better on those skis. You need to build something that suits your climate, not just whatever comes to mind. The urge to make the sauna fully mobile persisted. Everything used the same recycled profile. I decided to make a homemade trailer for transporting the barrel sauna. I welded a very sturdy frame. The cost of store-bought trailers with the required load capacity here started at $1,500. Both the look and quality were questionable. Good ones cost at least $3,000. I had about $700 saved up. That was all I had to work with. I quickly studied global trends in the trailer industry and bought some components. Adapting them to a homemade frame was interesting. First test drive, my younger son German is leading the process. It can be disassembled. Try it to make sure everything is in order. Stop. Even at the design stage, which took place right in my head, I decided to make the trailer collapsible so that if I failed again, like with the boat, I could fold it up in a corner and it wouldn't take up the whole garage. The first trip out to the fields, I was thinking that, along with baths and stoves, I could also make trailers to order. Everything was working out, so I started upgrading the trailer platform. I feel like the creator of a vehicle. The wheels from Alfa Romeo gave the trailer a sporty and dynamic look. There's just a little left to do. I'm working on the appearance. Without proper lighting equipment, you can't take the trailer into the city. The Transformer trailer, which turns into a large workbench, is ready. My videos about homemade projects were gaining popularity very slowly, but still gaining. I also wanted to be a do-it-yourself blogger and truly believed I'd succeed. My wife and eldest son Mark didn't seem to truly believe in it. They helped, but it felt like it wasn't heartfelt. When Mark caught the brand new lighting equipment on the gate post, I waited for my wife to turn off the camera. And I voiced all my complaints to the assistant and the camera woman. In response, I listened to complaints addressed to me. That I'm busy with my useless whims, wasting a lot of time and resources on them. By that time, I had already trained as a truck driver, a bus driver, attended vocal lessons, and was even thinking about acting in the theater. That's what a midlife crisis feels like. With nothing to argue about, I filmed one of my first successful trailer assembly videos. It turned out that if you attach the camera directly to the objects you're working with, you get some pretty good shots. A tripod is useful, and best of all, it doesn't talk back. And I also started spending more time on my projects. My family were my investors. Their faith in me was their investment. Jenny. I often presented internet analytics, showing the videos consistently had 300 daily viewers. And in a month, 25 new subscribers joined, while last month there were only 12. The trailer is ready, and soon I delivered it for the government inspection. Surprisingly, the strict inspectors didn't have a single comment about my design. The vehicle identification number was stamped, and I got the license plate and registration, subtitles by Dima Torzak. Then I started installing the sauna on the trailer. I quickly realized how useful the new platform trailer could be, so I decided to make homemade jacks that would allow me to quickly load and unload the barrel sauna from the trailer. I used it both for transporting building materials and for delivering finished saunas. There were some difficulties, but I managed to solve them soon. Here are photos of the first time loading the sauna onto the trailer. The bricks were just for safety. If I seemed to succeed in encouraging my wife to believe in a bright future, it was much harder to do the same with the rest of my relatives. It seemed like my parents suspected that I had lost my mind. You know, this often happens in movies, when a character starts out with a good business, has some money, but then setbacks break him. He withdraws into himself, tells everyone that he's actively doing something, but those actions lead nowhere. I didn't rule out the possibility that I might be out of my mind, and I heard that. The main criterion of sanity, since a very mentally ill person will never admit that they're sick. I allowed for that possibility, which means everything's fine. A solemn moment, the barrel sauna on wheels, just a small step left. Add advertising signs and start taking the working prototype to crowded places. And then I shouldn't be left without orders. This way, I'll get the cheapest and most targeted advertising for my production. I quickly realized that such a sauna could be a great thing for active recreation. You sleep wonderfully in it out in nature. Dimitri, how do you like to relax? I even took a short break to enjoy using the wooden house on wheels for a while. My friends also really appreciated the mobile structure. Many strangers who saw it were also very interested. The farthest trip was to the Dnipro River, 100 kilometers away. As for its main purpose, the barrel sauna exceeded expectations. Add some steam.
All right.
With the mobility of the structure, you can enjoy a steam bath anywhere you want, by the river, by the lake, in the forest, or in an open field.
Hang in there, oh.
Don't fall asleep. Valentine, the ice ends there. Careful, S. With a sauna like this, you'll always be welcome.
Go ahead, yell.
Relaxing is good, but it's business time. So I got to work on the sign. I decided not to use the services of advertisers who use laser cutting. Why try to explain to them exactly what I want when it's faster to just do it myself? Some old furniture ads remained, and their plastic was recycled. That's eco-friendly. The right font is the key to good advertising perception. I enlarged the letters from my laptop, copied them to paper, cut them out, and transferred them onto plastic. I didn't have a computer numerical control laser cutter, but using a jigsaw allowed me to handle the task quite well. Sign production can be put on stream. To be continued. The first sign wasn't very successful since it consisted of pictograms of what I thought I could make. It confused a lot of people, and some even thought it wasn't a bathhouse, but some kind of fast food place. So I had to redo the sign. The simple design made it possible to make changes very quickly, and most importantly, for free. Plenty of used plastic remained, and the jigsaw still worked well. I determined the sign just meant baths and did some reconnaissance. After finding out what and how my future competitors were offering, the era of making barrel saunas began in my life. This would have the biggest impact on how and why I came to ultra cheap construction. It will allow me to draw a lot of conclusions. By the way, my videos now come out earlier on RooTube. That's how it is.
This is the long side for the roofing. We're clearing it specifically for the roofing.
There's 70, right? That's correct?
Yes.
Let's go inside and take a look.
So, seam boards is here, right? Of course, not worse.
Even better, we remove everything before drying the boards, since we can do it all at once. It's that simple.